Good day, everybody. Today is Thursday. It's March 20th, 2025, and you're here with Robin at In the Family Way Coaching. We are here for our daily Bible reading. We are reading through the entire Bible in 1 year, and we are using the Day by Day Kids Bible, which is written by Karen Henley. If you have a calendar for download, or have downloaded a calendar, or have that, it's time to get that out, and it's time to put our sticker on for the day because you're about to hear the Bible today. It's been a little while since I mentioned that I do have a participation gift that I would like to give out to people who are participating. So if you are listening and following along on a regular basis, kindly reach out with me, make a comment on the YouTube music, the podcast version. You cannot make a comment on the video version because I have it set as made for kids, and that prohibits the commenting. It does other things too, because it's protecting data being accumulated on children. It has nothing to do with the actual content itself. It just has to do with the collection of data from children. So if you are interested in showing your participation, leave me a message on my site on my Read the Bible in 1 year section, and I have a leave me a message section there that lets me know that you've read, or you can leave a comment on one of your podcasting apps. I'm not sure if Apple has comment section. I thought maybe it did. I know Spotify does, and the YouTube music does for the podcast. You can definitely leave a message there as well. And TikTok. I do have it also up on TikTok, so you can follow me along there, and you can leave a comment there to like and share, there to let me know you are participating. And then at the end of each month, for those who have been participating, I just like to send you a little thank you gift for joining us this month. So thank you for joining me today, whether you are finding me on your favorite podcasting station or whether you are watching on video. I have this on Amazon Music, Apple Music, Podbean, Podfriend, YouTube Music, Spotify, regular YouTube, TikTok, and when I have time, I also post it to my Facebook page in the Family Way Coaching. And so I just try to make this as available as I can for everybody out there. As an update, I am still waiting for pricing from Amazon to get me Spanish translation pricing. They sent me a follow-up email either yesterday or the day before saying that they were sorry it was taking so long because they are getting multiple programs listed in how I would be able to use them in order to translate these into Spanish for our Spanish-speaking brothers and sisters. So I'm just trying to be patient and not jump into anything just yet, but I'm working on being patient, or God is working on patience for me. He's giving me so many other things to fill my day and my mind that at first it was difficult to be patient, but as these other things came in, it has made it easier to back burner that a little bit. So thank you for your patience on that. Well, thank you for being here again. And we are reading about David today. We're going to go ahead and get into that. We have been seeing how his son Absalom has taken over the kingdom. And today we are going to see the end of that. Spoiler alert. So today's section we are going to be reading comes to us from 2 Samuel chapter 18, and it's entitled At the Oak Tree. I do want to give us a little bit of a reminder because there are a lot of little details sometimes that we may not remember in the stories. And one of the things I wanted to mention about Absalom is that he had very, very long hair. And apparently he would cut it once or twice a year. I don't remember the exact time frame on that. But when he did, every time he cut his hair, it would weigh about 5 pounds. Now, ladies, we have a lot of hair. I have a lot of hair, but I don't believe my hair has ever weighed 5 pounds. So this guy had a lot of hair, if you can imagine that. And that's our little clue today. I just want to remind us about that. So at the oak tree, 2 Samuel chapter 18, here we go. David got his army together and he said, I'll march out with you to fight. No, said his men, you shouldn't go with us. What if you have to run away? What if we get killed? They don't care about us. You are equal to 10,000 of us. They will be looking only for you. It's better for you to help us from here." "I'll do whatever you think is best," said David. So David's men marched out, and David stood beside the town gate as they went past. David told his army leaders, "Be careful with Absalom. He is my son." The army marched out to a field, but the fighting began in the forest. It moved all over the countryside, and more men died because of the forest than because of swords. More than 20,000 men were killed that day, and David's men won. Now Absalom was riding on his mule, and he met up with some of David's men. The mule ran under some thick oak trees. Absalom's head got caught in them, but his mule kept running and left him hanging in the air. A man who saw him told Joab, "I just saw Absalom. He was hanging in an oak tree." "You saw Absalom?" said Joab. "Why didn't you kill him? I would have paid you with silver." "You could have put 25 pounds of silver in my hand," said the man, "but I wouldn't have killed him. He is the king's son. I heard the king say to be careful with Absalom. The king finds out about everything. I would have put my life in danger." "I won't wait for you then," said Joab, and he picked out 3 long knives. He stuck them in Absalom's heart. Absalom was still hanging on the oak tree, so 10 of Joab's men got around Absalom and killed him. Joab blew his horn. His fighters stopped chasing Absalom's men. They took Absalom's body down. They threw it into a pit in the forest. They piled rocks on top of it. All the while, Absalom's men were running home. Absalom didn't have any sons, and he thought that no one would remember him, so he had built a big monument to himself to make himself look important. And this stone post was in the king's valley. Absalom had named it after himself. It's still called Absalom's Post. A priest's son told Joab, "Let me go tell the news. I'll tell King David that God saved him from his enemies." "Not today," said Joab. "You can bring news to the king another day, but not today. The king's son is dead." So Joab called another man. "Go tell the king what you saw." The man bowed to Joab, and then he ran to tell the king. The priest's son said, "Please, let me run behind him. I want to go no matter what happens." "Then go," said Joab. So the priest's son ran. He went a different way. He passed the other man. Now David was sitting by the city gate. The watchman went up to his post at the top of the wall. He looked out over the wall and saw a man coming. He was alone and he was running, so the watchman told David about it. "He is by himself," said David, "so it must be good news." The runner came nearer and nearer. Then the watchman saw another runner. "Look," he called, "here comes another runner. He is alone too." "He must have more good news," said David. "The first man runs like the priest's son," said the watchman. "Oh, he is a good man," said David. "He will bring me good news." The son ran up to the gate. "Everything is all right," he said. He bowed down with his face to the ground. "Cheer for God, he let you win over your enemies." "Is Absalom all right?" asked David. "There was a lot going on," said the priest's son. "I didn't know what was happening." "Wait here," said David. Then the other man ran up to the gate. "Good news," he said. "God has saved you from your enemies." "Is Absalom all right?" asked David. "I hope all your enemies die like Absalom," he said. David began to shake. He went up to the room over the gate. He cried. He kept saying, "My son, Absalom, my son, My son, Absalom! I wish I could have died instead of you. Absalom, my son, my son! And that's the end of our reading today. I am going to head back to the beginning here. I thought it was interesting that there was forest. We tend to think of the Middle East as being just a big desert. But this talks about a forest and that the forest was so thick that it took more men than the fighting men took. I thought that was very interesting. I just thought I would point that out. So Absalom's hair got caught in a tree. And here we see that God is at work. And eventually Absalom did come to his death so that King David could go back and be on his throne. And we saw that the first man, the soldier who saw him, did the right thing. He didn't kill Absalom's son because he was told he did hear not to. But Joab knew that the best thing to do would be to get rid of this son who was doing nothing but causing problems. So he made sure that Absalom was dead, and then they buried his body there. And then we see that Absalom was very prideful. We see that he didn't have any sons. We remember that he had a daughter, and her name was Tamar, and that she was very beautiful, but he didn't have any sons. So God was making sure that his family line did not continue. So we see in this that God was in charge there as well. And then we saw that once David received the news for his son's death, that he was very sad and he cried about it. And this is very important because uh, even so, kids, as parents, when we see something happen, even if it's something that you may well deserve for doing something bad, it's not necessarily easy for us to see that. And for instance, in our New Testament parallel, when Jesus died, do you think it was easy for God to watch his son die? I was reading the account of Jesus's death, and it says that it was dark for 3 hours, from about noon until 3 o'clock, before he died. So it was dark, and it seems that God was very sad. It was not easy for him to have to watch his son and know that his son was dying during this time. And it's not easy for us as parents. So it would have been a kind of a bad thing if David had rejoiced at his son's death, don't you think? So it might be hard to say, well, why was he so upset about that? Well, because it was still his son, and he didn't want to see his son dead. It was still part of his family. So that's part of our takeaway, too, is that let's not let our hearts be hard when we see someone have something bad come to them. We can still be upset and be sad about it, knowing that God's justice has been done. We know that it was right for him to be gone, but we don't rejoice in that. And I just thought of it too, is that I think it was Jesus who told us not to rejoice when we see bad things happen to our enemies, but he says instead for us to pray for our enemies. And so um, that's our takeaway today. It's a little bit of connection there, is that we're not to rejoice, but we're to be mindful of the fact that it is God in control. And that can be hard too, because sometimes when we see bad things happen, we might want to be tempted to say, yay, but that's not what David did here. So that's about all I have for us on that. It was just a very, it seems like a contradicting time there in our story today, but we see that it has understanding there. So thank you for joining me today. It was a relatively short reading, so we have a relatively short application, but thank you for being here with me today. And if you are watching somewhere where you can click that light button at the end of your listening or your watching, I would appreciate it if you do so. And if you are somewhere like Spotify or Apple Music where you can leave a review for this event, then I would appreciate that too at some point. And it will help this event gain some attention so that we can help more people read and hear about God's Word. And then that will be us spreading the word about reading God's Word. I hope everybody has a great rest of their day today, and I will see everybody again tomorrow.